Thank you so much for joining us tonight for Runaway Wednesday. Meant to get this whole ball rolling last month, but it just didn't happen. So thank you for hanging in with there with us. So February 1st, I'm glad because Caroline could join us. She wasn't available last month anyway. So I really appreciate you being here, Caroline, and I appreciate everyone joining us. This is fun. We're gonna have a fun night tonight. I guess I should introduce myself for those of you who don't know me. My name is Kim Temple, and I am the broker owner of Runaway Realty here in Puerto Morelos, the best little beach town in the world, according to me. And I've lived here now full-time for 11 years. I thought it was 10. I've been telling everyone 10, but I can't do math. It's 11. And I'm a huge advocate of Puerto Morelos and all things Puerto Morelos and living in Mexico. So I love to meet people this way and to talk about what I love about Puerto Morelos and to answer your questions to move you in the direction of your dreams if you're thinking of making the move to our little town. We are a real estate agency and we would love to help you buy or sell your home here in Puerto Morelos. I say that because we've had a few incidents recently of people who join us on Runaway Wednesday and get all the information and join our buyer classes and then think that we won't represent them because they want to look at something that's not listed on our website, which is not at all true. We can help you with any property that's listed in the Puerto Morelos area, whether it's listed on our website or if you find it somewhere else. So we can show you all properties and guide you through the process, no matter where you find them. So I had to put that little plug in as an educational notice. Let's see what else. I have some notes before we get started. We are videotaping this, which I think they now have a warning at the beginning of the meeting. If you prefer to be off camera, that's fine. Just flip off your camera, no worries. We will post this on our YouTube channel tomorrow, hopefully. And sorry, we got a couple more people coming in. Please use the chat. I put a little message below, but if you want to write your questions there, I can try to catch up, but I'll pause for questions as well. And I think that's it for my little housekeeping. Tonight, I'm excited. We are going to talk about kind of what is Puerto Morelos and the area that most people consider Puerto Morelos, which is the Seaside Village of Puerto Morelos. So I'll kind of back up and talk about kind of Puerto Morelos historically. Our little village used to be part of Cancun. We were in the municipality called Benito Juarez for many, many, many years. And about, I think it's 7 or 8 years ago now, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, Puerto Morelos became its own municipality and called the municipality of Puerto Morelos, which is like a county in the US. I don't think a province is a state, I think in Canada. I'm not sure what your smaller units of government are. But the municipality of Puerto Morelos is actually quite large. It includes the Seaside Village, all the areas to the west of the Seaside Village, up to and including Leona Vicario, which is about, I think, 25 kilometers west into the jungle and is another little village. The border also goes, oh, wait, I have a slide. Sorry, let me back up. I'm learning how to share slides with you. Hold, please. Let's see.
Nice.
How do I do this?
You want to be in?
There we go. So I am brand new to whatever this is, PowerPoint. I know a lot of people use this all the time, but I don't. So please bear with me. So this is kind of a snapshot. This is actually not all of Puerto Morelos. Puerto Morelos goes all the way up to an area called Bahia Petampeach, which I think is on the next slide. Let me do that.
Touch it.
And all the way down to called Playa Paraíso. Hold, please. I'm going to let some people in.
You take your mouse and go onto the top of the screen, the bottom of the screen, the left or the right. Okay.
Is somebody talking to me?
Don't touch. Do you have your speaker on? I mean, I can hear it.
I don't know if somebody's talking to me or not.
I think they're giving instructions to each other.
Oh, okay. All right. Sorry, guys. See, I don't know how to do this.
You're doing great, Kim. And what lovely slides you've created.
I don't know how to go back. I'm showing
Maybe
you all
up.
the slides.
I probably up arrow.
So try your backspace button.
Oh my gosh, oh, yeah, sorry. Let me just, thank you so much for bearing with me, guys. All right, we're back at the beginning. But I'm gonna go here. So
Yeah.
Puerto Morelos is, sorry. It extends all the way north to Bahia Petén, which is the next bay north of us, and then all the way south to basically Playa Paraíso, which is, so Bahia Petén is about a 12-minute drive north of the village, and Playa Paraíso is about a 10-minute drive south. So the municipality of Puerto Morelos is quite large, and when you are, for example, looking at listings or rental listings and you see Puerto Morelos, some people get upset when they say, oh, they lied, it's not Puerto Morelos. It likely is Puerto Morelos. It's just in the municipality and not the Seaside Village. So for the purposes of tonight, we want to just talk about this little area, which is the Seaside Village over here, which is really just about a 3-block deep and 10-block long stretch of land on the beach. And this is the area that many people think of when they think of Puerto Morelos. This is where our little town square is. This is, you know, where the protected beach is. So this is what people are usually thinking when they're thinking Puerto Morelos. And when people think of moving to Puerto Morelos, oftentimes they think of this little area first. The Seaside Village, everyone wants to be near the beach. And it used to be that really this was our only option. It was either be in this 3-block by 10-block area, or you had to be willing to go in the Colonia with some really dated inventory, or out into the jungle, which was kind of a wild land that people were afraid of. And in fact, when I first came here, people were a little bit afraid of the Colonia in the sense that there's a lot of I remember there was one couple that lived over there and we're like, oh my gosh, they're so brave living in the Colonia. You know, it seemed less inviting. There weren't as many English speakers there, but that has all changed in the last 11 years. And now the Colonia is the place to be. And there's tons of restaurants and great shops. And it's always where the life of town took place, but now it's become more accessible and they've built a bunch more inventory. And so that's an interesting part. But today we're talking about the Seaside Village. Let me just let these people in. And so many people, when they start their search for property, are wanting to look in the Seaside Village. Why is that? I think I have a slide for that. Hold, please. Did somebody have a question? Okay. How do I make it go? Oh, there we go. There's certainly, you know, pros and cons for living in the Seaside Village, and why most people start their search there is, of course, the beach. People think if I'm going to move away from my hometown or wherever, I want to be somewhere near the beach where I can either be on the beach or looking at the beach, which of course is a pro of living in the Seaside Village. It's also very walkable. If you live in the Seaside Village, you don't necessarily need a car. You can walk to shopping and restaurants and everything you need. You know, there's just not much space. You can be on or near the beach. It's the best market in terms of generating rental income. The homes in the Seaside Village tend to be larger than, oh, sorry, I keep doing that to myself, tend to be larger than what you're going to find in any other area. And there are lots of different condo options in the Seaside Village. How do I make it go to the next page, people? There. We also have great accessibility to the internet on the Seaside, in the Seaside Village. There's fiber optic, which is awesome. The rental market is helped because your renters don't need access to a car. If they can make it here from the airport, they can just move in and walk around town. And of course, one of the biggest reasons why people are interested in buying in the Seaside Village is that much like a ski town, the village is really kind of geographically limited from growing. It's nestled here between the sea on one side and a protected mangrove on the other. And so it can't expand. Property in the Seaside Village is just sitting here and becoming more and more valuable. It makes it hard to get in, but once you get into the Seaside Village, you're certainly not going to ever lose value, and your property is going to continue to increase in value. Does it double, overnight or every year? No. There's a lot of speculation that it should, but that's not what's happening. But there's certainly a very steady increase in value that we've seen, particularly over the last 10 years, and it really sped up after we became our own municipality. Let's see. The cons of living in the Seaside Village is that inventory is expensive. It can be quite noisy. There's a lot of, especially the closer you get to the town square, there's a lot of live music and chickens and dogs and gas trucks and the knife sharpener guy and the fruit guy, and it's loud. You're also more at risk to hurricane damage because you're closer to the beach or on the beach. There's now very limited parking, which can be a hassle. And if you live in the Seaside Village, you're really living in the vacation zone, meaning that you're, especially if you live here full time, you're in the middle of someone else's vacation. So they're having a great time, potentially drinking a lot and making a lot of noise. And, sometimes that's not fun if you're just trying to live your regular life. And Caroline, I would invite you. Caroline and I both live in the Seaside Village actually for about the same amount of time, full time. And I'd love to hear your kind of experience of living here. And if you would add to this list of pros and cons, that would be awesome too.
Yeah, pros are the obvious ones that you listed, but I mean, waking up and being able to see the sea right away, or have a cup of coffee looking out to the sunrise, on my face has been just an absolute blessing for me and my family. And it's wonderful. It's a perfect place. But in the 11 years, the same as Kim, there's been significant change. There is more traffic now. There are more restaurants, and the music is coming a little further down. Kim's down in the thick of it, and I'm a little further out on the north end of the village. And but like she said, it's a vacation and zone, and people are having a good time, and they might be being very boisterous in the street at 2 a.m. So that is something. Fortunately, I'm on the 3rd floor, so I don't get as much noise as others might, but these are all part of your considerations, because if you have a baby in the house or something like that, you'd want to consider that when you're making a decision where you might want to be. Because as Kim said, the Colonia is not a bad place. It's a great place. It's a hopping place. And it has its pros and cons as well. I think there's a lot more transient people over here because on the seaside, because of all the condos and the rental, the huge rental market that is on this part of town. I happen to live where there's quite a few houses around me, but I also have some mixed condos not too far away. So we have kind of both worlds in my neighborhood, if you will. Yeah. But I love it because I mean, you walk out of the house and I'm 100 steps from wet feet. I mean, that's just absolutely an amazing way to live. So for us, it's been great. And we had family move here too, that Kim helped me with the purchase of the house in Colonia. And my daughter moved here. So they live on that side and we live on this side, if you will. So we get to enjoy both sides of the town, or parts of town, if you will. But I would say that the seaside it's definitely more for me. I need to see the sea. I need the I don't know, the beautiful ocean, boats and the sunrise and the sand and all of that. Cons though, we're on the con page, the salty air. sand on your car. I went to Tulum this morning with my daughter and we had to wash the car before we left because there was so much, buildup from the sea. Sand on the surface of the pool, first world problem. But it's, these are some of the things you have to deal with. A corrosion, significant amount of corrosion because of the salt. So you purchase things thinking in that way, should I get aluminum or metal or whatever, you think about those things when you're living on the seaside, I think a little more. And then the hurricanes, I think that's also a number one for John and I, Kim, is, making sure I could secure my furniture, we're not getting any younger. So we need to be able to secure our home and our belongings as that weather approaches.
Mhm.
Something
Thank
to
you for
consider.
bringing up the corrosion. That's a good point, and I'll remember that next time because it is more expensive to maintain homes the closer you are to the water. This is just a really harsh environment, and you do end up replacing things like water pumps and faucets and anything metal. And even plants are sometimes hard to keep alive because of all the, especially if you're oceanfront. It can be really difficult. So thank you for mentioning that. I hadn't thought of it.
Exterior wood too.
Right.
You have to continuously update and shellac and whatever exterior woods.
Constant maintenance.
Constant.
And the other thing I wanted to, another potential con to the village is, and I've seen this a lot in the last few years, things are really expensive over here. Like the cost of eating in a restaurant has really gone up. The cost of groceries has really gone up. I know it's going up everywhere because of the economy and the problems with shipping and all that, but you can live much less expensive eating and buying things over on the Colonia side. So I do think that's, one con. Of course, if you can go over there, you can go do your shopping there and go eat there, and there's great restaurants and stuff, but it's just something to keep in mind. You're definitely living in the high rent zone if you're living over on the port side. Did we miss anything? Does anyone have any questions about the pros and cons? Hello.
Kim, what about the Tren Maya and I heard that they're going to be shipping rock from Cuba and trucks will be going through town?
So the train Maya is, supposedly going to happen. They're certainly working on it out on the route to Cenotes. I think it's around kilometer 4. I drove past it the other day. And so that's, it seems like it's going to happen. I'll believe it when I see a train come through. And so, yeah, that will have some kind of impact. I don't know what the impact will be. And I myself just heard about this road. I think all of us heard about it in the last day or so. And so I don't know if that's already been done, but I have to tell you, I cannot tell you how many in the 11 years I've been here full time and in the 10 years before that we had a home here. Every year there's some drama. We're gonna be a cruise port. There's gonna be Dragon Mart. They're tearing down all the mangrove and making it a golf course. They're putting up Starbucks. Like, you hear this stuff all the time, and so I'm just not gonna get upset about it until I see it. They said that they were gonna make our port is already the main port to come in through customs on this side of Mexico. So if you're shipping goods, it most likely comes through Puerto Morelos. I don't notice those trucks. I guess if you live down by the shipping pier, maybe you notice them, but really it hasn't been that bad. I'm not sure why they would need to bring rocks in. They have a whole lava jungle like full of limestone, but yeah, so I just don't know what the impact will be. And it's hard to believe that that's even happening because
this is Bill. Are you there?
Hi, Bill.
Hi. Yeah, we were looking at a brand new condominium just adjacent to the port that's being built. And I noticed a lot of government workers coming in and going out of the port. And in December, there was some notice that they were bringing in rock from Cuba because limestone won't work in the construction of the Mayan Tren. And I actually thought it was a very low valuation for that property. And I did find notice that the Mexican government had given that they were going to offload boats to barges and onto the port. And it's an official notice from the Mexican government that they're going to use, I believe it's Calle Jose Maria, and then the Leona Vicaria Road. I do believe that that's happening. Even the Cuban government has put out a notice that the first 20,000 tons are in the port, and it's going to increase to 90,000 tons and then 200,000 tons. I mean, they're definitely building the Mayan train, and they can't use the rock from Mexico because it's limestone. So I don't know. I mean, I understand how things can be a rumor, but Obrador has said that he's understanding that there's going to be a lot of upset people, but in the end, it's a matter of national priority. So those are notices that are out there. I'm not sure how much of a rumor it is.
Well, I'm just telling you based on my experience that of living here, there, one day a cruise ship showed up and another one never came. So things change very rapidly. I know this is his pet project, and perhaps they are going to bring rock through town, or they've built another road, which was the notice that we got today, to take that rock across the mangrove. I don't know. I mean, time will tell. Yeah. Do I think it's going to destroy our quality of life? No. Do I
Okay.
think it'll destroy our market? No.
And we already have potholes, so the extra weight, you know.
Well, I think 200,000
I like her.
200,000 tons of rock. 200,000 tons of rock is not exactly equated to a pothole, but we'll see. But I'm just telling you that Mexican government has said that they're going to use that port. They were blocked from using the ports in Playa del Carmen because of some other disputes. So I guess we'll see. But you know, they notified the public of it rather quietly. So we'll see. I mean, the Mayan train is being built. It's not a cruise ship that's rumored to dock. It's definitely happening, and they've been forced to modify the construction to elevate it and build a roadbed. So you're right. I mean, I don't want to cast any doubt on it, but it'll be interesting to see. That's what I would just leave it at.
I mean, I understand that you believe this is going to happen, and my skepticism is just born of 10 years of watching things not happen. So I hope whatever they do, I hope they do it in the safest way possible.
Sure.
That doesn't interfere with all of our lives and property values. I mean, if that's the concern, I'm not sure. Is that your concern? The property values?
Well, the way that they outlined it was that they were going to use the existing road. And then as they start to use the existing road, they're eventually going to widen the road to 4 lanes with a bike lane, and they'll bury the utilities on the ground. The government said, you know, this is a free cost, you know, it's free to Puerto Morelos. So given if that might be the case, eventually I would think it would benefit the property value, because you'd have a 4-lane road with bike trails going from 307 to the Seaside. But during the time that it's happening, which is kind of indeterminate, it would be a little bit disruptive. So again, I don't want to cast shade on it. I understand your skepticism that these things don't happen, and maybe they won't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if they do it, for sure, they're going to do it during the most inconvenient time of the year. So we can count.
Absolutely.
The one thing that we can count on. They'll do it in the middle of high season. That's when they tend to do big projects that will interfere with everyone's business. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, there was a notice today that about another road. I don't know if you saw that, Bill, but yeah, I'm just have a hard time getting worked up until I see it happen.
Agreed.
But I also own property here. You know, this affects me personally as well. So
yeah, we own over in Selva, Espida, and we're looking at an additional property on the ocean. So that's why we have an interest in this call. So
Yeah.
we have a vested interest too.
Yeah, and I think everyone who loves Puerto Morelos doesn't want to see it destroyed. Whether you own property or not, so let's, fingers crossed that they,
See, and I'm not that excited about a 4-lane road coming into Puerto at all. We just don't have the parking or ability to handle that level of traffic, and especially now they close Rojo at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We just don't have the infrastructure available for all that amount of traffic. I'd love to see them just elevate that causeway though over the mangrove so it has a free flow underneath it, and the rise of the tides and stuff don't affect all the animals, the critters that end up sometimes in the roadway. I'd love it if they do that, if they just elevate it, but they're not asking me for my wish list. So.
darn it, it would be
Darn
nice
it.
to bury all the lines though.
That'd be
Um,
amazing.
That would be great. Just visually, that would be great.
Yeah.
Okay, any other discussion of pros and cons of living in the Seaside Village? Anyone? All right. So the types of property available in the Seaside Village has changed drastically. We went from having very low density and low height limits to an explosion of density and an explosion of the height limit. So now we've got, empty lots, of course, not very many, but we've got empty lots, larger condos, like 1,500 square feet and up, a bunch of very small condos, which have been allowed under the new density rules that are about 600 square feet and up. And a lot of single family homes, not for sale, but that's what is here. And the interesting thing about the inventory in Puerto Morelos is that until very, very recently, it was all very dated. We didn't have big, shiny, fancy condo complexes with amenities, gyms, things like that. We had older kind of, not hacienda style, but older Mexican style construction of these larger condos, say at Las Tortugas and Las Iguanas. Along there, 1,500 to 1,800 square feet, very traditional style, nothing very modern or contemporary vibe. So that has all changed, but the homes haven't really changed. There hasn't been a lot of, people have come and bought lots and built their own more modern looking homes. But for the most part, there are a lot of older homes in town. Inventory is super, super limited. There's a few lots available, empty lots, and they're going for around $350,000 per 300 square meter lot off the beach. On the beach, there's really nothing for sale. A couple of larger plots for $3 million. Condos are ranging from around $200,000 up to over $1 million. And right now there's really only one single family homes on the beach, which tend to be quite large, 4 and 5 bedrooms, are $1.3 million and up. And off the beach right now, there's only one for sale that is at around $800,000. If we start to see some of these smaller homes come up, that's a pretty big one. That's like a 3-bedroom multi-level with a pool on the roof. If we start seeing these smaller homes come on the market, I think, they'll be at least $400,000 to $450,000 just because the land is so expensive now. So I think the days of getting a home in Puerto Morelos for anything under that are gone in the Seaside Village. But because they're building so many more condos, there's a lot more accessibility to the Seaside Village. You can get in now for $200,000. You might not want to live for full time in a 100 square foot condo, but they're great, vacation rental properties. You can come spend a few weeks and then rent it other times of the year. Hold on, let me let this person in. He got kicked out accidentally. And so if you've been in the Seaside Village lately, you've seen there's a ton of construction of these new little condo projects. So it's an interesting time to be here. And much more inventory than we've ever had before. So I guess developers heard the call that there was more demand, like for rental inventory and buying inventory, and bought up all the land and now they're building. So it'll be interesting to see what happens when we get this big glut of extra inventory. I don't think our prices would go down necessarily, but it might not be as much of a seller's market as it has been the last few years. Any questions about that? Anyone? I see something in the chat. Hold on. I don't know if this is going to mess up my screen sharing.
I can read it. Do you, oh, it
Oh.
went off.
I see it. Hi, Ilona. No, we actually don't handle rentals. Sorry. And I can write you later about that.
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you. We're just not ready to buy anything just yet, but we're hoping to at least get in there. We're just there, like, I guess for the holidays. We love the village and my husband fell in love with it and he's, all about moving there. But as you mentioned, the inventory is a bit low. We don't really know what we want. We don't really have a feel for the place just yet. We just were in the Seaside Village, obviously in that main touristy area. And so I think what we were hoping to do is just first get in, rent, look around and figure out the market, figure out where we want to be, and then look for a place to buy. So if you can write me something,
Sure.
any recommendation on who to get in touch with, I would appreciate it. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, I think that's not a bad idea. People do it all different ways, right? Some people come and buy on their first trip and love it. And others need to come a few years in a row and step up how long they're staying and stay in different areas and just explore the whole thing. So everybody does it a little bit different. Any other questions about that? I'm gonna pop out. Oh, wait. I thought I was being so fancy with the slides. Okay, so we just threw in an example of a village, a home for sale in the village right now. This one has been updated a bit, but you can just kind of get an idea. It's still the very old Mexican style kitchen, just not super contemporary. And then the Seaside pre-sales are all very contemporary and kind of this Tulum vibe, which is very popular right now. I like it myself. But these units tend to be smaller at the more accessible price ranges and then much larger as they get up into the 600,000 and up range.
What are the price ranges there?
Yeah, they're from like 200,000 up to over $1 million in the different pre-construction.
And is that oceanfront?
No. The one I'm looking at right now is, that's Nalu, I believe. And that one is oceanfront and that's north of the village. So I think we made a little mistake on this slide. It's in the north, it's just north of town. In the village, no, there's nothing oceanfront being built in the village right now. They're all a little bit north or a little bit south of the main village.
I see.
In the village, the things that are being built are off the beach. And I'm here we go. So if you look at this, if you look down to this area south of that shipping pier, can you guys see my mouse? Okay. South of the shipping pier, this is where some new oceanfront construction is going on. There's there's like 3 projects right here. The only problem with this area, I really like it, it's quite beautiful, but you can't cross over this pier. So you have to go here and come into town the back way. Well, not the back way, but you just can't walk across the beach. And so it's a little bit longer to get back in town. And then the other area is, I'm not going to be able to pull it, just up here in this, like, let me see if I can pull it over here. All right. So here's Desire Pearl. So if you're walking north of the beach, you go past the 5s and then there's the big empty land, right? and then you hit Desire Pearl. So this neighborhood and just past Unam, sorry, my vision is terrible, but around here, there's some new oceanfront complexes going in. And further north, up into Punta Caracal and up into Bahia Petén-Pich. Those are where the oceanfront new construction is going. Okay. Oh, I'm gonna drop our neighborhood guide here if you want more information about the different neighborhoods. And let me go back. How do I go back on PowerPoint? Anyone, any experts?
Used to be the backspace button. I
Okay,
haven't used it for a while, but
let me show you here.
20 years ago, I taught a class on it, but it's changed since then.
All right, let me go back to this one. So, I mean, we can spend a few minutes talking about these areas that are not right in the Seaside Village, but are a little bit north and south, because there are condo complexes there and new construction, and there are also homes. So these are also really great places to be. The homes are either oceanfront or right off, because there's only one road. And they tend, I think the homes are 650,000 up to in the million, sorry. 650,000 up to the $1 million range. And that's true north and south of the Seaside Village. There's condo complexes. Caribbean Reef Villas is south of the village. Ibis is north. Costa Blanca is north. Punta Caracal is north. All beautiful condos and places to live, but a little bit further from the Seaside Village. The plus side of that is you get so much more for your money if you're willing to go outside of the Seaside Village. The minus part is that you have to probably drive. You're definitely going to need a car. And unfortunately, with the Sargasso situation, they're not controlling it as well outside of the main Seaside Village. They're not cleaning the beaches. So unless you have a neighborhood that's, going to get together and do that, you might deal with some Sargasso at different times of the year. Right now, it looks very good, but
Beautiful.
But when it's, when it's coming in, unless you're hiring someone to clean it privately, the city's not gonna do it, and they're not floating any barriers out there. Okay. For some, I can't hear. I don't know if someone's asking me a question, but I can't hear. Did someone have a question?
Kim,
Yes.
Scott from Victoria,
Hi,
BC.
Scott from Victoria.
My wife and I have been to Puerto Morelos 18 times. And
But who's
we
counting?
stayed at Casablanca once.
Uh-huh.
And we usually stay at Ocean Turquesa.
Okay.
But I wish I had bought 18 years ago.
You and everybody else.
What is the sewer system like now? I know there was concerns about the number of buildings and the sewer system and its ability to hold the capacity that it was going to be given. Has that increased, or are they still running on the old system?
Well, so historically, everybody had septic tanks or septic systems.
Yes.
Within the last 7 years, they've built a treatment plant in the Seaside Village. And everyone's in the process of hooking up to it. I have not heard that it doesn't have the capacity for what's being built now. But I have not investigated it. I don't know.
There was concern when a high rise went on the beach, maybe 2 to 4 years ago. It was called Five something.
The fives.
Yeah,
The
the fives is 7 stories. So for us, it's kind of a high rise, but not too bad. So they made the fives upgrade the system when they did that. And they made the 5 in terms of the piping that went from the fives to the treatment plant. But the treatment plant's really new. So I think they planned.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I know there was a concern when the fives went up that they were worried about the sewer.
we were worried about everything with the fives. They broke every rule, so.
Oh, that must have been done in Victoria then.
Mhm.
Um,
I shouldn't say that. I don't know, but it seemed like the rules were broken in that there was
if it
no
was done by a
parking.
developer, it probably was, yes.
Yeah.
Cars and
Uh-huh.
safety in Puerto Morelos with more people.
Mhm. Car, what do you mean by cars?
Well, owning a car,
Uh-huh.
like I've said that we've been to Puerto Morelos many times. I'm never allowed to rent a car because I've heard so many horror stories about driving and getting pulled over for a falsehood and then having to buy your way out of it.
I've been pulled over once and I was driving the wrong way on a one-way street, so it was my fault.
I made a
Oh.
left turn into the bus station and it had a stop sign and I pulled in and I got pulled over. 11 years.
Yeah.
Oh, no problems? Oh,
Yeah, no, I used to be terrified too. And then when I finally, it was good that I finally got pulled over because it was nothing. They like let me go because I said I was like, give me the ticket. I know that I'm wrong. And they don't want to give you the ticket. They want you to give them money. And
oh,
she said, no, you don't know where the police station is. And I said, I do know where the police station is. Just give me, here's my license, give me the ticket and I'll go pay the ticket. So she asked me if she could have some water. And I said, I don't have any water. And that was it. And she left. Like, it was
I
the
think-
weirdest.
I think that driving in Mexico is some of the most polite drivers ever. I mean, like nobody honks their horn. Maybe you get a quick beep from a taxi, but I drive there all the time. I've never had anybody sit there and honk their horn and cut you off and drive like a maniac. I actually think it's some of the most polite drivers. I mean, sure, there's
Wow.
a little
You're not
bit.
driving with my husband.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, like, there's a little bit less organization here and there, but there's really such light traffic in PM. It's not like you're in downtown X or Y. You got one little roundabout there by 307 and about 5 streets. I think it's I think people have a lot of patience, and especially when they see you and they see that you're not maybe a Mexican citizen, you get cut, I think, a lot of slack. But hey, that's my opinion. I think it's pretty easy to get around.
so the Seaside versus the Colonial. When we first went there, we were always interested in Seaside.
Uh-huh.
And now because of the Sargassum, we're thinking it would be nice to have a place with a nice clean pool. Cause I mean, we live on the ocean in Victoria and I never go in it. It's too cold.
Well, stop hogging the ocean. Let somebody else have it.
It's not all what it's cracked up to be, believe me.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I mean, we're gonna have another discussion of the Colonia. It's really a lifestyle choice and budget driven for a lot of people. So
so what is their range in the Colonial?
you're gonna have to tune back in, Scott.
Oh, I will.
Yeah, no, now I guess, Caroline, so I think around probably 60,000 is about the cheapest, 60,000 US now,
Yeah.
up to 400,000 US in the Colonia. And then there's
They have a
also,
lot more variety though, Kim, of housing type over
Right.
there too. So I think your price points are a lot more varied because of that. There's just
Mhm.
different kinds of houses. Over here on the seaside, there's, I mean, these are big houses. My neighborhood is all very big houses. And then there are condos. But even the condos around me are really big. I don't have any of those 600 square foot units on this end of town. That's all like sort of new construction that's going for that rental market that you were talking about. And that's not in this particular neighborhood, but in my area, I think there's just not any inventory. Like you were saying, there's just not much right in this particular spot. So I am glad I bought the 10 years ago, Bill, like you should have. but but
Yeah, it's interesting. And so there's also other neighborhoods. I mean, the other neighborhoods are Pescadores, which is on the beach side of the highway, and then the gated communities also on the beach side of the highway, which have inventory, lots ranging from now 60,000 and up. Well, 60,000 to like 120,000, and then houses from, in some areas, I think you could still get around 200,000, but they've gone up quite a bit. So 200 to 500,000. So that's another option that we didn't have 10 years ago. So it's things have changed in that it's more accessible. Yeah, it's just a whole changing situation here.
Are property taxes higher on the ocean side?
Nope, they're all the same
yes.
everywhere. You do pay, if you are on the beach, you're going to pay a beach tax. And that it's not super steep, and I honestly couldn't tell you exactly what it's based on. It's based on how many meters of oceanfront you have, but I don't know what the ratio is. But like, we just sold a big oceanfront house, and I think their beach taxes were, around $1,000 a year.
Nice.
And the property,
is there also gas, no electric? Is there natural gas, propane gas on that side of the
yeah.
area?
Well, so we all have tanks. It's not in the streets, so they're delivering it with either you have a stationary tank or they're delivering those cylinder tanks. So yeah, but it's not delivered from the municipality.
Thank you.
The only thing in the street is the water, and you're not drinking that. That's just for everything else. So the property taxes are the same, and they're quite low. It's 0.0028 times the purchase price. Basically, that's a ballpark of what they will be per year. And if you pay in December for the year in advance, you get 15% off. So that's a pretty good deal. Buyers are always really shocked when I tell them how low the property taxes are, because I think in many places you're paying like outrageous property taxes that just keep going up. And the cool thing here is they really don't go out and value your property like they do in other places. It's revalued upon sale. So you sell it and the next owner pays based on what they paid for the property. So that's nice. No surprises. I really quickly wanted to talk about the rental market. And actually, Eric, you're a new Portside homeowner. Do you have anything to add about your experience? No, not yet. Eric will be a good one to talk to about remodeling, though. He bought a property and remodeled it, and it looks, I can't even believe it's the same place.
I've had a great experience down there. I mean, we're glad we bought what we did, and I don't know. I'm kind of like Caroline, where I like the beach, so being close to the beach and everything down in Puerto Morelos is, I think, is awesome. I mean, the food's good, the walking around, it's very safe. I know everybody's got the quote, Mexico's dangerous, but we've had no issues down there whatsoever.
That's good to hear. I'm glad you're happy. Just real quickly on the rental market, people are often, if they're going to invest in property here and they're not going to be here full time, many times you want to rent it. And this is certainly the most attractive rental market as an owner, because everyone wants to be in the Seaside Village. And so we just did a quick survey really of Airbnb and VRBO today, basically. So we're seeing like oceanfront rentals can go from $200 a night up to over $450 a night, depending on how many bedrooms, how big the property is, and other amenities. Off the beach, you can still find some rentals under $100. Very, those are usually studios and not many of those. And they go up to $250 plus off the market, or off the beach, excuse me. The thing to remember when you're considering buying on the Seaside Village is that we don't have a year-round rental market like some of the bigger cities do. I think Playa del Carmen has a much more robust rental market than we do. Cancun as well. We really are we have a pretty small high season, which is, it's starting to be November, but I would really count December as the beginning of our high season. December through whenever Easter happens, which is often early April. That is the time when you can pretty much plan on easily renting your unit if you are in the Seaside Village. There's no, like, for example, people are looking for unit to rent right now in February, which is our busiest month, and there's nothing. This area usually books at least a year in advance in high season. So if you're looking right now, you'll be lucky if somebody just canceled and didn't show up, but usually you have to book a year in advance. So it is a wonderful place to generate rental income, but don't budget on 52 weeks a year of rental income. I would budget on 16 to 20 weeks a year as a kind of, you'd have it in a bag if you're not using it during high season. And then I would imagine that you could get some shoulder season rentals, and we're starting to see a better summer market, you guys, because everyone's sick of Playa del Carmen. So a lot of European travelers travel in the summer, and they're kind of burned out on the Playa del Carmen has become this spring break all the time atmosphere, and those people are discovering Puerto Morelos, and so we're getting a bump in our rental statistics from that. But I still wouldn't budget on it yet. I wouldn't plan that in my income. So it's still a fairly limited rental market to date. Any questions about that? You guys are so quiet tonight. What kind of virtual cocktail party is this?
Yeah, you know, my glass is empty. I think I need
Yeah.
to call my pool boy.
I'm still at work, so I can't drink beer yet.
Okay, you're excused.
Thank
I
you.
have-
Kyle, what's your excuse? You're very quiet tonight.
I have a question. So if you wanted a 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo and you were interested in being on a good beach, and you were a little bit flexible about where you were going to be, and it's really great information you gave about the Sargassum, that the Seaside Village, because of the hotel and other properties and the public beaches, is going to have a barrier. So if you were looking at like 2-bedroom, 2-bath, and you just want to be on a great beach, and not something really old, what do you think like you should budget? Yeah, I know it's not an exact number. Like, what do you think?
On the beach?
Yeah.
I mean, $500,000 and up.
Okay. So $500,000 to $700,000 puts you in
Well,
someplace.
actually, I'm going to revise that to 6 because I don't think any of these oceanfront ones are going. Even outside of the main village, they're $699. So you're probably yeah.
So 700,000 to 900,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you go further north, I mean, this is the weird thing, right? If you're willing to just drive 5 more minutes north, you could get an oceanfront house for $1 million. So once you're, I mean, it's not that much more to get a whole bunch.
No,
of
but a house for someone that's not there full time, that's the maintenance aspect I don't want.
You're going to pay someone either way. You're going to either pay condo fees or pay a maintenance person. So
All right, yeah, that's
yeah, I
fair.
think that's kind of a wash. You're not doing it yourself, but yeah,
Yeah.
but oceanfront, yes. I mean, a condo's way more convenient in that the association's responsible for all that. You're not having to deal with it yourself.
Thank you.
You
Sure.
know, and I will say there's not a lot of rental properties in this town that have like 5+ bedrooms. So those big houses, I know we have 32 family coming in. They had to go to Playa del Carmen to find a giant house to rent. So there's not a lot of that kind of inventory. So when Kim's talking about the North Beach area, some of those homes are really big and really beautiful and would make exceptional large family rentals or family reunion type rentals.
Mhm.
So it's just a different market. It's sort of nichey, but man, if you market to it, you don't have a lot of competition.
Yeah, that's a good point. But one thing I should point out is, so north of the village, at least to Bahia Petén Beach, you do have city water and electric. In Bahia Petén Beach, they're just now getting all the electric in, and some of the homeowners have had to put in their own electric or be off the grid. South of the village, when you get to Punta Brava, it's all off the grid. You're not getting electric or water service there. But anyway, that's only important if you want to buy an oceanfront home in Punta Brava. Any other
Somebody was
questions?
asking about sewage earlier, Kim. So
Uh-huh.
we hooked up to the sewage as soon as it came by, and yeah, we had to pay, and somebody dug up the street and they hooked our house up to it. We've been on it, I think about 2 years now, year and a half-ish. We haven't had any issues at all. I mean, I'm so glad to be done with my septic, and not have to deal with that and the disgusting aspects of septic with cockroaches and stuff. So I'm really, really happy to have the city, and I think they've done a great job.
I haven't hooked up yet.
Yeah.
That's good to know. All right, guys, any other questions? Kyle, did you have a question? I thought you did. No. Oh, we can't hear you. Oops. Uh-oh. We can't hear Kyle. I think he did have a question, but it's not
Maybe
working.
put it in the chat.
Sorry. And Linda, did you ask how far north? Which one were you asking about?
I think it was when you were showing that new one. I think it's called Nala.
Uh-huh.
How far north is that from?
So do you know where Calle de las Palapas is? Right past the UNAM campus north?
I probably have walked by it on one of my many walks on the beach, but I don't know if I could pick it out.
Okay. So the UNAM, but you know the UNAM
Yeah,
campus.
yeah.
It's just north, it's like 20 steps north of there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So it's
Is
about,
is
Pardon?
the Nala completion date way out there? I actually was interested in that, and I've been told it was something like 2024.
yeah.
I'm not-
it's-
Yeah,
mhm.
I mean, a preventa in 2024 is a little scary. A preventa in a year, that's normal.
Isn't that a year? 2020? It's March 2024.
I guess, yeah, but they were marketing it a few months ago, so
Oh,
then
yeah.
2 calendar years anyway. It seemed like a long time out. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, they got their environmental permit and their building permit, so they are under construction now. But yeah, it's at least a year build, I think.
Okay,
More.
all right.
Mhm. What was the other, I feel like there was one more question about that one. Linda, did I answer your question? Okay. All right. So I did post that one. I know what I was going to tell you. The location is on the listing on our website under pre-construction. So you can pull up that map and see exactly where it is. Oh, I don't know what I was going to tell you. So the walk into town from there is probably 25 minutes to the north edge of town. Into the town square, it'd probably be more like 35.
Does stuff come on the market in Seaside or adjacent to it that's oceanfront, and does it just sell really? You just have to be able to pull the trigger. Is that the case?
Mm-mm.
Or just doesn't come on the market?
It rarely comes on the market, and it's hard to say because some of it, well, we just sold a condo at Casita Blanca really as it came on the market within a few days, which was priced at 450,000. But generally when you're up in the upper price points, it takes a while to sell those properties. It's a lot of cash. So it's not unusual to see properties in the $1 million and up range sit on the market for 2 or 3 years. It's an all cash market and our buyers aren't here all the time.
So what happens if you're in like the $700,000-800,000 range? Is that like in the middle between?
So we haven't had it. So I mean,
Okay,
not
yeah,
in the village, there aren't homes in that range.
No, a condo, not a home.
Well, yeah, so we haven't had that in the ocean front.
I see.
So there was one at Las Casitas, I guess 3 years ago that came on. Well, I sold an oceanfront villa at Las Casitas for $1 million. It was on the market maybe 4 months. Then another one, yeah. So there just aren't that many oceanfront condos, and so it just depends. It's hard. I wish I could give a better answer, but there's no rhyme or reason. Some take longer and some go really quickly. I don't have a good answer. And of course, we don't have an MLS or any statistics, so I can't even pull from that, like days on the
Right.
market or anything like that.
Thank you.
Yeah. I wish we had more information. It would make my job a lot easier. I can tell you that. All right, guys, we're running out of time, but I'm happy to field any other questions. And I would refer you, if you were, I think everyone here, well, I don't know everybody here, but if you're looking for more basic information about how to buy in Mexico, we cover a lot of that on our website, which is runawayrealty.com. Let me drop it here. On the resources page, we have a nice frequently asked questions section, some downloadable buyer resources, and of course, we're always available to answer questions. If you go on our YouTube channel, we've covered that in other Zoom meetings, and we will do it again. But for this next little series, we really wanted to dig a little deeper in the different neighborhoods because people have a ton of questions about them, what it's like to live there, why would you buy there, is there a downside? So we really wanted to provide that information. So it doesn't mean we won't go over the basics with you, but for now, we're going to focus on getting some more in-depth information on the neighborhoods. But right now, I'm happy to answer any questions you have. I've got a few more minutes.
Is there a marina there?
Yes, the El Cid Marina is just south of the main village. Like a 5-minute drive south of the village. And you can rent slips there. I don't know anything about the cost. That actually is another marina. Caroline, is it Pelicanos has you can rent a slip there, but I think it's more for fishermen,
Yeah,
the working fishing boats. Yeah.
I've only been out of that one with fishing boats. Yeah.
Okay. What else?
Can you bring electric scooters and bikes down there?
Like on a truck or something?
No, just like your own little personal electric scooter or bike. It was
But
just something
how would you get it in is my question.
actually it folds into a suitcase. So
Oh, yeah, I don't see it. The only problem I would see is if you get caught walking through the airport, they're going to try to charge you a duty. You're importing
Sure.
something.
yeah,
So
I understand. I gotcha.
Is it licensed? I think that would be my other question. Is there a license plate on it?
No, it's
No,
just
okay.
a little electric bike.
Yeah, you're probably
Check
cool.
with the airline too, because batteries might be considered a hazardous material.
Yeah, something to consider. Thank you very much.
Sure.
I just had to ask that question. I had
Yeah.
pages upon pages of questions, but nothing really pertains to this event this evening. So maybe
No,
I'll
go ahead. I've got some time if you want to know if anyone can
like,
ask questions.
so they're really irrelevant to what the topic is, but we were throwing away like moving companies and car rentals and the cost of like the food bills and security and health insurance and buying appliances and strata fees and all of those things, the average temperatures, the hospitals, the doctors. We own a firearms business here in Canada, and we wanted to know if we can go hunting. Can we own firearms down there? Those sorts of things. We have a whole bunch of questions. So,
Well, I would direct you first to our buyer guide, which is on our website, which covers a lot of that, actually.
Right.
Not the firearm,
Awesome.
not the average temperatures, but a lot of the stuff about the average electric bills and all that kind of stuff is in there. And the
Awesome. Beautiful.
cost to
Thank you.
have a home here. And we talk about the medical services, where to go shopping. It's pretty helpful.
Beautiful.
What I feel like there was something else I could address right now. I don't have a definitive answer on the firearms, but it's very difficult to have a gun here. And so I don't think that there are a lot of opportunities to use guns.
And I've really never heard of anybody since I've been here hunting or going hunting, unless it's you're hunting for your golf ball or you're looking for your next margarita but I haven't heard about anybody hunting any elk or deer or anything like that here. I think you need to go over in higher elevations like Mexico City, Puebla, in those areas. There's probably more hunting.
Okay,
What,
sorry, I have to say, looking for your lost sugar of salt. Sorry. Yeah.
What animals do you typically have roaming the streets, like monkeys, iguanas, things like that? Is that what you have kicking around there?
Yep.
Oh, that's awesome. That's wonderful.
Okay, look up the Tejone. Look that one up. The Cotamundi, the Agouti,
How do you spell this?
Agouti, Agouti. It's like
Okay,
a giant hamster with, you know, or like a guinea pig.
okay.
And the Tejones are super cool. Cotamundi, oh, thank you, Kim. The Tejones are super cool. They're like raccoon tails and rat faces, and they're just
Oh,
really
boy.
super cool.
Lots
Yeah,
of
well, we're coming
awesome-
down in March, so we're gonna stay a month and we're gonna look around for a house. So, yep.
Crocodiles. We have crocodiles too. Monkeys. We have monkeys. But
You
I
don't
get
see
up
crocodiles in the street very often.
not
So,
very often, but sometimes we
worry
do.
about
I get up sometimes at like 5:30 in the morning, and I look down from my perch, my third floor, and I'm looking down in the street, and I'm just looking around, being, you know, nosy lady. And there's this giant family of Tejones that frequently I will see them jumping inside trash barrels, and, you know, and then handing stuff out to each other, and then running, scurrying on down the street further. It's like you never see them during the day in this part of town ever at all, but they live here because I see them frequently in the dark. It's pretty cool.
the secret life of Tejones in Puerto Morelos. Yeah. Any other questions about life in the Seaside Village? It's loud, but it's nice.
Is it a weekly garbage pickup?
It's daily.
We have daily.
Oh, wow, nice.
All right, guys, if you have any suggestions on or requests for things that you'd like us to cover in future Runaway Wednesday chats, I'd love to hear it. We want to make sure that we're providing valuable information and that this is useful and fun for everybody. Not just because of the cocktails. No? All right, well, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks,
And-
Kim.
Thanks.
Sure.
Thanks
Thank
for
you,
doing this.
Kim.
Thank you, Kim.
Stay warm. And I
Bye-bye.
hope to see you in Puerto Morelos. And
Thank
check
you.
out
Thank you
our
very much.
resources page on the website. Check out the resources page for all sorts of good information on living in Puerto Morelos.
Great,
Thank
thank
you,
you.
Kim.
All right, take
All right,
care.
thank
Good
you, Kim.
night.